Welcome to episode 28 of season 4 of Brackets, Bubbles, and Bid Stealers. I am Sam Fetterman. That is Jonathan Linskin. We are here with you, and the first order of business tonight, it's time to fear the Phoenix. Green Bay is 7-2 in the Horizon League. They have completed the sweep of Wright State. That was a Wright State team that was projected to be really good in that league. Noah Reynolds is a player of the year type guy in that league. Remember, he was committed to Wisconsin, flipped his commitment to UWGB, the Wyoming transfer. 30 points tonight, back-to-back 30-point games. His fourth 30-point game of the last month and a half. Jonathan, is it time to fear the Phoenix?
Oh, it is most definitely time to fear the Phoenix, Sam. It is most definitely time to fear the Phoenix. This was a program that just, 2 years ago, maybe even less, was in total, just bottom of the pit of college basketball. They fired Will Ryan, who obviously his hire was questionable at the start, but I read an article the other day. I forget who wrote it, so I apologize for not giving credit, but it was an article ranking the worst Horizon League basketball hires since the year 2000. Will Ryan, the most recent coach at Green Bay, was number one on that list. He was the worst hire in the Horizon League since the turn of the century. Sundance Wicks has done an incredible job this season. Like you said, he's got a player of the year candidate, probably more than just a candidate at this point, Noah Reynolds.
His favorite.
Green Bay is 7-2, tied up top the Horizon League, which is having a good year as a league overall, ranked 20th on KenPom.
And very surprising of who's at the top of this league. We thought it would be Milwaukee. We thought it would be Wright State. We thought it would be those types of teams. But next week, we will lead Brackets, Bubbles, and Bid Stealers on Thursday once again with the Horizon League when Oakland takes on Green Bay.
Horizon League Thursdays, baby.
All right, now let's move on. Harrison Simeon is here with us, and we are going to talk about the game that's starting in about 30 minutes, Colorado and Oregon. And I'm going to lead this segment with something I texted Jonathan earlier today. There is a freshman point guard averaging 14.6 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists on 51, 44, 80 splits with averaging a steal a game, and his team is undefeated in his conference. And he's getting no national love. And that's obviously Jackson Shelstad for Oregon. How can Colorado stop Jackson Shelstad, Harrison?
I think it starts just in terms of our depth right now. KJ Simpson, not, a great defender, but always really attacks and plays hard on that end. And I think with the wing room we have, it's really versatile. So they can guard plenty of different positions that can bounce off of them. A guy like Julian Hammond, I really have seen a ton of progression in him this year to guard him maybe off the bench. If they want to put a smaller guy on him, if they want to put a bigger guy on him, I've seen a ton out of Javon Hadley this year, especially in the last game against USC. Scored 15 points on offense and was really just a force pretty much everywhere on defense. But in terms of the team itself, how they can slow him down, it'll probably take more than just one guy. So that's sort of what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be going over these ball screens. You cannot give Jackson Shelstad space because he's going to burn you. He can burn you on the drive. He can burn you from deep. Jonathan, how good do you think Shelstad has been in terms of the rest of the freshmen in this country?
Oh, he's been excellent. Even better than I thought he was going to be. I thought he was underrated coming into the season. Ranked him number 14 in my freshman rankings coming in. Obviously didn't see every notable player, but I felt enough. Shelstad's, the last couple years, I really have felt that Oregon's been lacking a true point guard. They played Will Richardson there. Ever since Chris Duarte left, it's kind of been a mystery. They haven't really had a true point guard from a passing perspective. But Shelstad is a pretty damn good passer, Sam. And I think this Oregon team, they're not entirely healthy right now either. They've been missing some really key players, including N'Faly Dante, who's been one of the staples of their program the last couple years. but they're 5-0 in the league, and Shellstad's a huge reason for that.
Yeah, and for Colorado, the Buffs just narrowly avoided losing 4 games in a row with a 16-point come-from-behind win against a USC team that was without Boogie Ellis, Isaiah Collier, and Josh Morgan. Where did the game turn around, Harrison?
Well, I wasn't there. I unfortunately wasn't able to watch either. But I will say, I mean, I think it started with Javon Hadley. He had a really big second half, and I think just that balanced attack on offense, all the defensive effort really picked up, and you've really seen a lot of inconsistency once again this year. Coming off of that blown lead against Cal, that unfortunately I did see a bit of. So I think it was really just the urgency really started to settle in after Arizona State was another tough loss. You don't want to lose 4 in a row, even if one of them is coming against a ranked team, and it kind of is representative of how the Pac-12 has had in such a down year that you just can't afford to lose those kind of games and to even think about being in the bubble for the tournament. I think it's just the sense of urgency in the second half. 44 points in a half is pretty damn good in terms of just against any team. So I think the sense of urgency, I think defensive intensity has been up and down, but I did see a lot of good stuff from what I did see of the game after it was over. So yeah, I think sense of urgency, just not wanting to fall out of the bubble and finally just coming together, putting together something. I also think a lot of the altitude actually has affected the home record and how they can just wear a team out and go on a big run.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a notoriously tough place to play. The mountain trip in the Pac-12, the mountain trips that you go on in the Mountain West, those are really difficult. When you have to go play at Colorado and Utah in a weekend, that's really tough. I mean, Oregon State's getting punked right now in Salt Lake City because, of course, they are. It's Oregon State. But from this perspective, when Colorado has been at their best, they've really been able to pass the ball because it's 5 guys that can all make plays. 4 guys around Lampkin, and even Lampkin can kind of pass out of the post a little bit. And that's when Colorado's offense is at its best. It's the number 12 3-point shooting offense in the country. And that's a little bit surprising, maybe, considering I didn't think of this team as an elite 3-point shooting team. But KJ Simpson is shooting 46%. Tristan Silva is shooting 38%. Julian Hammond is shooting 44%. And I think Julian Hammond has been the key jump for this team. And obviously, Cody Williams, who I didn't have great thoughts on before the season. And I've been pretty impressed with what I've seen from him, understanding that his game is not the 3-point shot, because honestly, in high school, I thought he shot too much. I thought he tried to play through himself too much. But he's been really, I think, impressive on the defensive end as well. And he's known himself offensively. I think Tad Boyle has done an excellent job with him. This Colorado team is dangerous offensively when they're rolling, but they can also have some of those moments where they just look stagnant. And I think they're physical, they're big, and on the defensive end, they can use that. They grab a lot of rebounds and they make a ton of shots. That's usually a good recipe for success. But Oregon's also a really big team. They also haven't. Even though they have a lot of guards, they also have a lot of bigs. When they're Kwame Evans has played fine this year, better than I thought he would. I kind of missed on a bunch of Pac-12 freshmen, but I hit on Shellstad. I'll say that. We've seen very little of N'Faly Dante, but he came back in their last game and they defeated Cal. He played 17 minutes. So as much of N'Faly Dante as we're going to see tonight, that's beneficial for Oregon in matching the physicality that Colorado is going to bring.
Sam, I'll jump in here. I would be absolutely killed by my friend Adam Busak if I did not mention that Oregon was just 1-11 all time at Colorado. They got their first win in Boulder just 2 years ago on Thursday, February
Shout
3rd,
out, Adam.
2022. It was a 66-51 Oregon win over the Buffs. We'll do a little trivia time here. Can you tell me who led both Oregon and Colorado in scoring in that game?
What did you say the day was?
Thursday, February 3rd, 2022. So the 21-22 season.
Jabari Walker for Colorado.
Jabari Walker did not lead Colorado.
All right. I don't know if I'm going to get it then.
Colorado's leading scorer in this game was Keyshawn Bartholomew.
Oh, my God. Wow.
Crazy,
wow.
right? And then Oregon's leading scorer in this game was Rutgers transfer Jacob Young, who had 21.
I would not have gotten either of those. I did not have my Pac-12 staying up on in 2022. I was mostly just staying up for Arizona.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't know why I'm. This is a big game in the Pac-12. I mean, Colorado, basically, this is one of their last chances for like a good win, and it's a quad 2. With a chance, I doubt it could get up to quad 1, honestly, because Oregon's not going to get to the top 30. But
I think this is big, both not just nationally in terms of like NCAA tournament hopes, but like in the conference race too. Like Oregon's 5-0 in the league. Like
Oregon's 5-0. They're the only undefeated team in the Pac-12 right now, and they've also won 6 in a row, and they've also won 9 of 10 games since the Emerald Coast Classic when they got swept by Santa Clara in Alabama. The only loss in that stretch, a 20-point drubbing in South Dakota to your Syracuse Orange, which I still don't understand how that game happened. I still don't understand how SU just obliterated an Oregon team. Oh, I mean, Oregon didn't make shots. That's what happened. When Oregon makes shots, they're a good basketball team, and I think that adding Dante back to that mix is an important piece to that puzzle.
Yeah, and I think another thing that just really adds to importance is that the Pac-12 really needs that like second team to kind of take control. So this is, I think, Colorado's chance to kind of pick up that last good win, like you mentioned, and kind of just head down the stretch, pick up solid wins against, some of the Washington schools, teams of that nature. But, with UCLA on a down year, USC in a down year, this is the biggest chance that we have left. And it's good that it's at home because like you mentioned,
I wouldn't say it's the biggest chance, but it's the last chance for the next, I'd say, week or so, or next like 2 or 3 weeks, probably. Because when's Utah? Yeah, Utah isn't until February 3rd. That's the next chance after this that Colorado has to really make a statement. I think this is Oregon's chance to really state their claim and say, all right, we are a surefire tournament team. Nobody is going to overlook 14-3 Oregon as a tournament team, 6-0 in the Pac-12, even though they have they have 2 losses. They have a quad 3 loss into Santa Clara and a quadrant 2 loss to Syracuse. No one's going to overlook that because they'll be 6-0 in the conference. And they haven't had to play any of the top 3 KenPom teams in the league yet. Tonight's their first chance to do that. And if they can win tonight, that would be a really good sign for them because they have Utah on the mountain trip. And I don't think they want to get swept out there. I don't think they'll win both, but there's a more than solid chance they get swept.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, that's the toughest trip to go make in the entire Pac-12. Like going to play in the altitude, fan bases are both pretty good, like especially in Colorado. I think on the Colorado side of this, it's just there's not many home quad 1 opportunities left, and so you can't really afford to slip up because Colorado's known for being a really good home team. Like, I truly don't know how many of the quad one road opportunities they have left that they can actually go win. So not taking like detrimental like quad, not that quad 2 losses are the end of the world, but not taking quad 2s and quad 3s will be pretty important for their tournament chances the rest of the way.
All right, Harrison. Do you have anything else to add?
I guess I did want to give a shout out to the women's team. That's, I guess, a little bit more of my forte this year, at least. They're number 3 in the country right now, and got a big weekend coming up against UCLA and USC 5 and 6. They play them back to back, so I'll be at those games. And unfortunately, couldn't make the one tonight, but it'll be a big one. I mean, just in terms of avoiding a real skid, because you lose, 4 or 5, that's just a real downer to the whole season. That you kind of think, this is probably Tad's most talented team yet, most well-rounded team, and you added that they have sort of figured out the 3-point shot, and gotten into the really top, I guess, echelon of the country, at least for now. So it's still. It doesn't make that much sense to see them still really struggling with some of the mid-tier Pac-12 schools. So tonight will be a big one if they can beat a rolling Oregon team, and for Oregon also to really establish themselves as that second best Pac-12 team behind Arizona for them. So yeah, I really grateful that y'all had me on the show. I'll probably be back.
Well, if they don't win tonight, I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be tough.
All right, thank you so much, Harrison.
Thanks for having me on.
Well, I mean, I guess you really gotta hope they win, because you probably won't be back if they don't.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully I will. It's fun coming on, but I would imagine they win, considering it's another home game. Wild to still say that they've lost 5 games, but they're still undefeated at home. That's always how it's going to be, I guess. And
you got to win at home.
If we lose tonight, we're going to have to really hold a lot of weight in that Miami game to have any chance.
And Miami's not very good.
Yeah, they've been struggling a little bit, but yeah, Skill Buffs, I guess that's the last thing I'll say.
All right, thank you so much for coming on, and we're going to move on, and in a little bit we will have another guest. He's getting ready to join us.
By the way, don't know if you saw, Nate Biddle's going to be available for a couple minutes tonight.
Okay, another important piece to the Oregon puzzle there. So before we get into our next topic, I do want to just go over a couple other mid-major stuff from tonight. UNC Asheville over Winthrop in a big game in the Big South. Drew Pember 29-13. This was a game that Winthrop led by 10 late in the first half, and UNC Asheville outscores the Eagles. Winthrop is the Eagles.
Is it Eagles? Yeah. I think.
Yeah, they outscored them by 12 in the second half. So good stuff from Mike Morrell's team. High Point is the top team in that conference, and we talked about the Panthers last night in depth. Alan Huss has done an excellent job there, but love the Big South. Big South has been really good this year.
And Folly Dante's back into the starting lineup tonight for Oregon.
All right. UMass Lowell goes to Albany and drops 97 points to improve to 4-0 in the America East. 2 players over 20 points, 6 players in double figures, and they only got 2 points from Abdul Karim Koulibaly. Is this the year that UMass Lowell challenges Vermont?
We thought it may have been last year. It's a good team. Vermont's obviously the premier program in that league. I think they got a chance. I wouldn't say it definitively. They're both 4-0 in the league.
Hold on. I know I said Oakland Green Bay would lead the show on Thursday. I think I may have lied. Vermont
Do they play each other next Thursday?
Vermont, UMass Lowell. In Lowell next Thursday night. That's huge.
Yeah, that's leading the show. Especially on a relatively weak Thursday nationally.
Yeah. Lowell plays Binghamton on Saturday, and Binghamton went up to Burlington. Sorry, Binghamton in Binghamton today played against Vermont, who had 3 bench players scoring double figures. But those bench players were one of those bench players, Aaron Deloney, who's one of their top guys. So Catamounts, 82 points. Nobody scored more than 13, 1.24 points per possession. Binghamton is 0-3 in the America East. I thought they would be a little bit better. They have played a pretty tough schedule to start, and they do have to play UMass Lowell. But the America East is pretty good this year. I think it's one of the better years for that league. You get Vermont, not quite as good as usual, but UMass Lowell is great. Bryant is in the top 170. Albany is solid. New Hampshire, and I think even Maine is good this year.
Yeah, I'm just scrolling through it real quick. They're 23rd right now, the America East in KenPom, in terms of their conference rating. If that holds, highest ranking for the league since 2013.
Yeah, good year for the America East. Very impressive stuff there. Old Dominion hosted Marshall tonight in the Sun Belt, and the Monarchs got the win. Vashon Alette, a freshman that we have not mentioned yet on Practice Bubbles and Bit Steelers, but we should mention him more. He is one of the best freshmen in the country.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to watch this kid. I have not even remotely paid attention to the Sun Belt this year.
He's averaging 17.6 rebounds, 3 assists, shooting 46% and 34% from 3. Today, he scored 27 points, and they crushed Marshall. This is a Old Dominion team that entered 0-5 in Sun Belt play, and they take out a Marshall team that was top 200 in KenPom coming in. So that's a big win. Marshall, now 4-2 in the league, lost their last 2 to South Alabama and Old Dominion. They have to go to JMU. They have to play in Harrisonburg on Saturday.
Yeah, I think the only Sun Belt really that I've checked in on this year is to see if JMU is losing. And then obviously we know App State is a very good basketball team.
Yeah, App State's good. I think App State is really good. Let's see. In the CAA, another big night. Towson and Charleston played a great game in the I forget what Charleston City nickname is. At TD Arena.
Your guess is better than mine.
Charleston was 4-0 coming in. They had a big winning streak. They'd won 9 in a row. That streak is over. Towson wins at 82-78. It's a young Towson team. Tyler Tejada, Dylan Williamson, and Mekhi Lowry. That's 3 freshmen that get minutes. Christian May is a sophomore, but then there's Denda Tarka, who's been there for a while, who's been in college hoops for a while. Messiah Jones, who's a senior, and Charles Thompson, who's been in college hoops for a while. Tarka had 18. May had 20. Williamson had 13. Towson, Pat Scarry has the boys at 3-2. They've won 3 of 4. They have now wins over UNC Wilmington, UMass, and on the road at Charleston.
Yeah, CAA has been an interesting league to follow this year. Charleston's hasn't quite picked up right where they left off, but still a good basketball team nonetheless. Wilmington obviously got the win over Kentucky in the non-con. They've been pretty good this year. Hofstra's a fun team to watch. Got guys that can score, and a lot of good coaches in this league too. And then of course Drexel 6-0, the highest ranked team in KenPom at 105 in this league. And Sam, would you say they've been the surprise of the league?
I would, and it's not because of the fact that they're really good. It's the fact that they've been so good offensively in league play. They were not a good offensive team in non-league play, yet they shot under 30% from the three-point range in non-conference play. Yet through 6 conference games, they're over 40%. What
Yeah.
changed when I walked into the Daskalakis Athletic Center on January 1st? Everything.
Maybe it was
Everything
you.
changed the moment I walked into the building.
Maybe it was you.
99, 78, 77, 67, 89, and 78 points for the Dragons. Zach Spiker has this team absolutely rolling.
I'm just checking out some other scores right now. Grand Canyon's rolling. Jesus.
Yeah, Grand Canyon and Princeton are the only two teams remaining with one loss. Do you think either of those teams picks up a loss over the next 2 weeks?
Let me check out these schedules right here.
Is there
I'm gonna
Ivy
say for
basketball tomorrow?
huh?
No, there's no Ivy basketball tomorrow.
I'm gonna say Princeton does because they got Cornell and Yale coming up on the road. Like very likely, I think that they lose one of those games. And then in Grand Canyon's case, conference probably a little easier in their favor. Coaches aren't quite at the level of the Ivy League. So I'll say Grand Canyon. They also got a couple tough road games coming up. They have Seattle in a couple days on the road, and then next Thursday they go to Stephen F. Austin. So
I just realized Princeton will have only played 4 conference games when the calendar turns to February.
I mean, they only play 16, right? In the
14.
Ivy, or 14 in the Ivy League.
But that's still a wildly low number.
So yeah, and I mean, they go late. Like they don't play their conference tournament until legit the final 2 days before the bracket comes out. But yeah, that's
Green Bay played their 9th conference game today. Princeton has played 2.
yeah.
Princeton, they started the season with like they played like 7 times before November was over, and they've played 8 times since.
How do we feel about Princeton and Grand Canyon's at-large chances at this point?
Princeton has all of those road wins.
Yeah.
I think Princeton has a better chance of an at-large than GCU. I think Princeton is better metrically than GCU.
Mm-hmm.
And even though GCU has the win over San Diego State, they only have 2 road wins. They beat 3. Liberty, Southern Utah, and Utah Tech. Liberty's not as good as we thought they were. They are, I believe, 0-3, or did they get a win? 1-3. They beat FIU tonight. 1-3 in Conference USA.
Yeah. How close? I'm trying to see how close South Carolina is to. Okay, they're probably okay. I was trying to see how close that South Carolina game was going to end up being to Quad 1, because I think that would help them for
Semi-home.
Yeah, but the net will count it as neutral, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think Grand Canyon probably should be okay. Like they won't lose at home because they're
I mean, I think they will get an at-large at this point.
If they
but like they wouldn't need, they don't need one right now,
or at least like would have an at-large resume.
I mean, I think right now, if they were to lose if the conference tournaments were played today, I think they would get in regardless.
Yeah, I agree with that. What else we got tonight? Not much else, honestly.
We got some Sun hoops to talk about. North Florida wins at home against Kennesaw State. Chaz Lanier with a big performance. 25 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Kennesaw State, Simeon Cottle scored 25 to lead the way, but Terrell Burden only played 19 minutes.
Is that foul trouble?
No. Not sure what it was. North Florida is now 3-1 in the ASUN after starting the season 7-8 in non-conference play, with 3 of those wins being non-D1. So they were 4-8 against Division I opponents. They play Queens on Saturday at home. Speaking of Queens, it's not on KenPom yet. What happened in that game? I think Queens won. Oh no, Queens blew it. Jacksonville won. Oh my God. Queens led that game when I was checking by a good amount. Dayton Albury, oh no. Queens 21 of 43 from the foul line. That is brutal. So, bad day for the Royals at the line. Robert McRae had 28. And he made 11 of his 14 free throws. Free throws are free. Queens, you need to know that if you want to win games.
Somebody tell Nick.
The ASUN. Yeah, I'm going to text Nick right after this. Free throws are free. My number might get blocked, but I'm definitely going to text him.
Don't worry. If you need his attention, just like tweet at him about Memphis.
Yeah. What else happened tonight that we didn't get to? Oh, Hofstra escaped against Hampton. They trailed that game for a while. I know Hampton led by 18 in the first half, and Hampton's really bad. They're 0-6 in the CAA, 345th in KenPom, and they were ahead by 18 at the MAC. But D-Stone Dubar kind of put Hofstra on his back, 27 points, 10 rebounds. D-Stone's emergence has made Hofstra, D-Stone's emergence into the Robin to Tyler Thomas's Batman, and at times the Batman. He was the Batman tonight for Hofstra, and he's needed to be. He's such a talented player, great size at 6'8", 210. He's physical. He can get to the basket, and he can really shoot the three as well. He's shooting 38% from three, 65% from inside the arc. His true shooting is top 100 in the country. I mean, just straight up one of the best players in the CAA. I think he's absolutely an all-CAA player.
Got an interesting result in the Big Sky right now. Weber State's down 4 at home to Eastern Washington.
Eastern Washington's good though, aren't they?
9-7. Pull up their KenPom page real quick. 122 in KenPom. 8 good offense. They've rattled off like 5 in a row. I guess they undefeated in the league. I think they are. Yeah, they're 3-0.
Austin P 82, North Alabama 80. That game just went final. Austin P got 24 from Haney. DeMarcus Sharp scored 20. I'll just give you a little bit of a preview. DeMarcus, I wrote an article on crazy stats around the MAC, and DeMarcus Sharp found his way into the article. Do you know why that is?
I don't know why that is.
Because there are only 5 players. Trivia time. There are 5 players in the country averaging 10 points, 4 assists, 1 offensive rebound, 4 defensive rebounds, and 2 steals per game. One of them is DeMarcus Sharp. One of them is in the MAC. Who are the 3 others?
Can you repeat the stat line, please?
10 points, 4 assists, 1 offensive rebound, 4 defensive rebounds, and 2 steals.
Kevin McCullough?
No.
Ooh, really?
Nope.
Huh. I don't know. I'm kind of blanking right now.
I'll give you a hint.
Yeah.
They're all point guards.
All point guards. Are they all high major basketball players?
One sec. No. 2 of them are high major, 1 of them is not.
2 high major, 1 not. No.
1 of them is a talking point, was a common off-season talking point on the podcast.
Really?
High major point guard was a freshman last year.
Did we talk about him because of Tamin Lipsey?
Yes, Tamin
Okay.
Lipsey. That's one of them. All right, hold on. We are about to get going with another thing. All right, guys. We were stalling there for a little bit. Hitman Hoops is here, and we're going to talk about the American Conference and whatever the hell happened in the FedEx Forum tonight. Hitman, how are you doing? I can't hear you. Can't hear a word you're saying.
Maybe try rejoining would be.
Yeah. Try refreshing the page, rejoining, doing all that stuff. Jonathan, can you think of any of the 2 other guys?
So you got 1 other high major, 1 other mid major guy. Donovan Dent's not one of them, is he?
He is not. The mid-major guy is on an elite mid-major team, though.
Not Isaiah Stevens, not. I'm just running through the elite mid-major teams in my head.
I don't know if you'll think of him, but he's averaging 21 points. He's been so good. He's a high major transfer.
High major? From last season?
He was at a high major last season.
Okay.
Sorry, he's averaging 19, 5, 4, and 3.
On an elite mid-major team. No idea.
What if I gave you the conference that he transferred in from?
Sure.
The Big 12.
Transferred in from the Big 12. All right. Who was a transfer down?
If I gave you the conference, the team, any of that mid-major info, it would immediately give it away.
Okay. So when you say Big 12, you mean he was in the Big 12 last year, right now?
He was playing for a team that was in the Big 12 last year, and they are still in the Big 12, and they will still be in the Big 12.
Oh, okay. Not that probably makes a difference, but... Huh. Let me think. I'm kind of blanking on this one.
What if I give you his first initial?
Of his first name?
Yes, S.
Okay. S?
S.
It's not Shahada Wells, is it?
It is.
Oh my God.
All right, Hitman's coming on. We're gonna talk Memphis. Let's make
can you
sure.
hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Perfect.
Finally, we did
Sorry
a lot of
about that.
stalling there.
I logged in on my computer and I'm trying to keep anonymity with my account and everything, just the way that I move. But I had to create a whole new account, so just to protect.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, thank you so much for coming on.
I got you.
We had to waste a bunch of time there, but it's all good. We love talking mid-major basketball. I mean, we were going to do that anyway. So just glad we got it out of the way there. So you obviously watched Memphis tonight. You probably wish you didn't.
Yeah, that game was brutal. Up 20 points. It's the way that Memphis plays. It's the way they've been playing all season. I think they were coming into the game. They were 9-1 in games decided by 6 points or less. And I'm talking. I mean, these are games to where like the UTSA game where they were almost 20-point favorites, and they just play teams close. It's just the way that they play. It's kind of a product of how Penny Hardaway coaches his teams. Not to throw shade or anything on him. I mean, he gets the job done. He wins games, but he doesn't blow out teams. And it's kind of funny because a lot of people like hit me up for betting advice on these Memphis games, and whenever I see a large spread, I mean, I always tell them to take the other team, obviously with the points. But I mean, it's just they get complacent in the half court when they get on runs. They're getting everything out in transition. They're moving the ball around. They're not creating off the dribble. So when they get in trouble is when they start creating off the dribble. Guys start clearing out the side. You know, David Jones. I mean, he can score an ISO. Jake, you can score an ISO, but they can't continue playing like that in the half court, and that's what's been their trouble on in offense late in games. But they didn't score in the final 3 minutes and 13 seconds of the game. They didn't score a field goal. The main issue with Memphis this season is their rebounding and their defense, which rebounding is a byproduct of their defense. They switch on every screen, Memphis does. And when they do that, teams will get their bigs on the perimeter, and their bigs are athletic and stuff. They can guard guards fairly well, so that's not the issue. It's the issue that teams will shoot threes, and they shoot a lot of threes against Memphis. In the UTSA game, they made 17 threes, shot 45 of them. And, I mean, you're talking about their bigs being on the perimeter, so obviously on long rebounds, that's, the offense can more easily get offensive rebounds off the long rebounds. But it's all about who wants it more. Rebounding is all about effort. When you talk to any coach, it's all about effort. But a lot of it is positioning. I watched multiple times this game where you've got I forget his name, Pryor.
Yeah.
He was attacking the offensive glass hard the entire game, and a lot of that was effort and just positioning. I mean, you're not putting bodies on bodies. It's all about effort, and Memphis just hasn't been locked in continuously for the entire game. I think Wichita State was their most complete game, but even then, I mean, they gave up 80, 90 points. And I mean, you just can't win games like that. And finally, it bit them in the ass today. I mean, they lost their first close game or the second close game of the season. Their first one was to Ole Miss, which they also blew a lead in that game. So, I mean, really, their only true defeat this season was against Villanova. And I mean, they were trailing by 30 points at one point. But in the other two games that they lost to Ole Miss and now to South Florida, I mean, they were up double digits in those games. So, I mean, it all comes down to effort and stringing together multiple defensive possessions.
Yeah.
And I posted a clip about that, just horrendous defensive breakdown at the end of the game.
That
last
was
second.
One of the worst defensive breakdowns. I watch a lot of college basketball.
Yeah.
One of the worst I've seen from anybody all year. How do you leave him wide open at the foul line?
Yeah, no, it was bad. So Jourdain, they positioned Jourdain to where his back was to the ball. They felt comfortable doing that. Obviously, you don't want to do that on the baseline underneath the basket because you can throw it off your back and inbound it that way. But they like to point switch a lot on defense. And it looked like Jourdain was trying to point switch with Tomlin and David Jones off that slip screen. And they both took the guy. They both took the guard going out to the perimeter, and they left Pryor wide open, and they had a hard foul at the basket. I mean, that was just brutal, just uncharacteristic of Memphis's defense historically under Penny. I mean, they've historically been a great defensive group, and this year, I mean, I don't know what it is. I would like to think it's effort, but I mean, it's more than that. I think it's deep rooted in chemistry, and Penny's mentioned it a lot in his post game pressers, and he mentioned it a lot in today's post game presser about chemistry. He just added Talman on there. Jordan Brown left the team, and then now there are rumors about him. I mean, he did in fact have a players only meeting to just. I mean, he was there for it too. It was awkward as hell. I mean, that you're just asking for drama, inviting him back. I have my own thoughts on that situation. If you guys want to ask me about that, you can. But it's deep. It's more deep rooted than just effort and positioning and fundamentals on defense. It's more than that. I think it's chemistry, and I think if they don't fix it now, then they're going to continue to win close games and play with fire. And tonight they played with fire and they lost. So
Yeah, Memphis tonight, they have played with their food all year long.
Yep.
You go in close games. I mean, the Siegel Center is a tough place to play, but they went into overtime there. They played at home against Vanderbilt on a Saturday night, and they almost lost that one to a bad Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Then they played with their food against a talented but not good Austin Peay team. They played with their food against Tulsa, who I think who I thought at the time was a little underrated, but now they're 1-4 in the conference, and that's bad. SMU is a really good team, and Jonathan sent me this a couple days ago. SMU has been the best team in that SMU and North Texas have been the two best teams in that conference over the last month and a half. And we'll get into that momentarily because I do want to discuss SMU. I do want to discuss North Texas. But then the UTSA game, that's a team that's outside of the top 280 in KenPom. They came into that game 285, and they should not be pushing this Memphis team to overtime. I don't care if you're making 17 threes. They shouldn't be pushing this Memphis team to overtime. Memphis had 1.27 points per possession in that game, and they still almost lost to a team that's outside the top 280 on KenPom. And then Wichita State, they totally killed them. That was an unbelievable offensive performance. And this Memphis team is awesome on the offensive end. They have so many weapons. When you look at it, David Jones, that guy can get a bucket whenever he wants. Von Quinterly, that guy can get a bucket basically whenever he wants it. Jaquan Walton is an excellent three-point shooter. He does a lot of things for them as well. He hasn't really shot well from three this year, but he's gotten it better during conference play. He is the number 3 player in that conference right now in offensive rating at 140.9 during conference play. Nick Jourdain, I didn't really think he was going to have as big of an impact as he has, but man, Nick Jourdain has been so important as a guy that can switch basically everything. He can guard so many different positions. I've been really impressed with him. But Memphis has looked bad for 30 of 40 minutes in basically every one of their last 10 or so games, every game since Virginia, aside from Wichita State. So 7 games.
Yeah.
That's not sustainable. And they are currently the way that they are playing right now, they are not playing like a tournament team.
Just to jump in here real quick to go back, because I have now watched this final play that you guys were talking about 3 or 4 times. And it seems to me that this sums up a lot of stuff, because I think Penny Hardaway does a really good job from a preparation standpoint before games. He understands the players he has, and he usually will put them in a system that puts them in a good position to win and succeed. But Amir Abdur-Rahim's a really good coach, and it doesn't surprise me at all that he was able to make adjustments tonight. So I think from both an effort standpoint and maybe an X's and O's standpoint, there has to be something that goes on where Memphis maybe they change how they play late in games with the lead, because if their weakness is rebounding, switching every screen is probably not going to be the answer to solving it.
Exactly. Yep.
I just think that there's a lot of nuance that goes into everything in basketball, and Penny Hardaway gets a lot of it. He's really good at a lot of things that a lot of coaches aren't good at, but he's also really not good at a lot of things that a lot of coaches are really good at, and that's where Memphis loses games.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys hit it on the nail with defense, rebounding, just that last possession. But as I mentioned before, I think it's deeper than that. I think it's chemistry, and I think it's just guys not getting along. I mean, Memphis fans have crucified him over the last few games for his lineups. I mean, he's playing 10, 11 guys deep. And, I mean, he was finally asked about that after the game today, and he actually gave a substantive response. And he said that it's just that he can't play certain guys together because they don't get along or they don't know how to play with each other. And I mean, that speaks volumes. And like you said, I mean, Penny's great at most things coaching wise, but just roster management, I think that's his weakness. And it's bit him in the ass a few times in his tenure at Memphis with the Amani Bates situation. He's had a lot of locker room problems in the past with, I don't want to throw guys on the bus, and he's had locker room problems in the past. And this year was looking like the year that, he had a veteran group coming in. They knew their roles. And it's just, they couldn't get the job done tonight. And it showed. I mean, it's deeper than that. And I don't want to believe that it's chemistry issues, but with his comments in the post game today, I mean, they were pretty telling on that. So.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation developing in Memphis because that's a team that has too much talent to be playing around like this. And I mean, I think South Florida is a little bit underrated. They're a good basketball team. It's not like it's a bad loss from a tournament resume perspective.
Oh, I mean, it's a horrible loss.
I think we're gonna and I don't think Memphis was anywhere close to the 10th best team in the country coming in. Let's like kind of reevaluate that situation and think about it. Memphis is now 49th in KenPom.
Memphis, the numbers, the metrics don't like them. I mean, they were top 10, and I mean, you're right. They weren't playing like a top 10 team, and I mean, it showed tonight. But I think that this group's hard to analyze. I think that they show up for the big games, and again, they play with their food in these the mid-major games in their conference, and I don't know why. I mean, you can kind of see it from a player's perspective. Maybe it's hard to get up for these games against USF at home when you're 14, 13-point favorites. But I mean, that's just inexcusable when you're a top 10 team in the country and you're expected to win those games. I mean, something needs to change for sure.
And I think this has kind of always been the case for Memphis. I mean, every time Houston and Memphis stepped on the floor, like Memphis looked like one of the best teams in the country year in and year out. That happened.
Yeah.
It's consistent that, again, it's the thing about Penny Hardaway. He can get the troops rallied for a big game. But when the building's empty because there's an ice storm and South Florida's coming to town and they're not there, and it's South Florida. They're not, I mean, they're 3-1 in the league now, but nobody really cares about them. That team is not going to go out with the energy. And I think that I don't know what the deal is with this, but they've been like this for a decent amount of time. And I don't really know how to fix it. I don't know if it's something that necessarily needs to be fixed, because when they need to show up, they do. But they're 81st in Torvik since December 23rd. That's not going to hold. Like, if that continues, they're going to drop 3, 4, 5 more games in conference play, and they will not make the NCAA tournament. Like, they don't have any, like, outside of Clemson and Texas A&M, their other big wins are not good anymore. Virginia at FedEx Forum, that could be teetering on quad 3 at some point, right?
Yeah.
Michigan and Arkansas, those are quad 2 loss. Those are quad 2 wins. Those are not quad 1 wins. SMU, that's a quad 2. Cool.
Yeah, at Mizzou might end up being a quad 3.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh, I go there. They're awful.
Yeah.
I mean, coming into the season, looking at the non-conference slate, fans were excited for. I mean, it was tough.
Mhm.
It's going to be competitive. Memphis was going to do most of their resume building in the non-conference, as they should with their weak conference schedule. But again, I mean, Memphis just had horrible luck. The teams that they beat, I mean, they immediately break down in the ensuing games, and it's tough. It's tough to watch from a fan standpoint, and then obviously looking ahead to the future with seeding in the tournament. I mean, you just can't afford to slip up, and tonight they slipped up. But I mean, they've got at Tulane on Sunday. I mean, that's going to be another trap game for Memphis. I mean, they lost against Tulane twice last year in the regular season. They beat them in the conference tournament by 40 plus, but they lost twice in the regular season. Tulane went into FedEx Forum and beat Memphis. So Tulane's another dangerous team. I mean, they've got Kevin Cross, Zion James. They've got a lot of shooters over there, and Memphis struggles against teams that are kind of what I call them, like microwave scores that can get going any second. I mean, teams play their A game against Memphis, and I mean, they've got to show up Sunday, and if not, I mean, that could be another loss. So,
Yeah. Looking at the rest of the conference. Oh, hold on. I don't know what happened there, but looking at the rest of this conference, Memphis is now no longer unbeaten. The only unbeaten team in the American Conference. It took me a minute to come up with the name of the conference. The only unbeaten team remaining, the North Texas Mean Green, coached by first-year head man Ross Hodge, who has done an incredible job building that keeping that program's momentum going from Grant McCasland. They played at the slowest pace in the country. They're the number 32 defense in the country. They are number 6 in effective field goal percentage. They won last night at the buzzer in Greenville, North Carolina against East Carolina. What have you guys seen from North Texas?
I mean, this is North Texas basketball. Like, doesn't seem like much has changed. Obviously, you don't really have a Tyler Perry type player on this team, but they're still an elite defense. And it legit does not look like anything has really changed. Like, there's still a very good team that defends at a super high level. And I think they'll continue to be a tough out in the conference.
yeah, 100%. I mean, North Texas is one of those teams. I think of them like Houston. No matter the roster changes, no matter the personnel changes, they just, for some reason, always establish a winning culture in the program. And they're doing that again this year. And being someone that analyzes Memphis, Memphis is kind of the opposite of that. They don't really have a defined culture, but North Texas does, and they're one of those teams that's disciplined, and they're not gonna blow you away with what they do, but they do the things that they excel at really effectively. They defend at a high level. They like to play at a slow tempo, kind of continuing from the McCasland era. And I mean, they just have a winning culture, and I think, I mean, they gotten off to a 4-0 start. They kind of escaped a game last night. I mean, that was a crazy play at the end. Full court pass. I mean, that was insane. But I think they're going to be a tough out in the American Conference, and they'll probably finish top 3. So,
Yeah, I had a lot of questions in the offseason about where they would get their scoring from. But hey, when you hold everyone in your league to under 65 points a game, not much scoring is needed.
Also, Jason Edwards is legit, and I've been on him for a while.
yeah, they've got North Texas is prime recruiting area.
They are so good at recruiting JUCOs.
Yeah, they've got a lot. I mean, they've got a lot of players in Texas and around that area that they can recruit from. It's a hotbed, and from being a Memphis guy, I mean, that's where Rick Stansbury likes to do a lot of his work in the Texas and New York areas. So, I mean, I mean, they're a scary team, and definitely going to be nervous when Memphis plays them this season. So.
Yeah, moving on, SMU is another team that in that league people maybe need to know a little bit more about. I think, Jonathan, we talked very briefly about them in the past. They are the number 16 defense in the country, number 2 in effective field goal percentage, number 1 in 3-point defense. What should people know about SMU?
People should probably know that their metrics are insane for a team that you will hear almost nothing about. Obviously, the resume doesn't exactly line up with where the metrics have them. 0-3 against Quad 1. American's not going to provide too many of those opportunities for them to get net large, but they're a dangerous team. They play really good defense, like you mentioned. They're littered with high major players, at least former high major players, and then Zurich Phelps is having just an awesome year for them.
Yeah, no, SMU has one of the best backcourts in the American, and with Zurich Phelps, and obviously they got Chuck Harris and BJ Edwards, but I mean, I think their backcourt is what carries them. Obviously, I think they're thin and weak up in the front court. I think that's where teams might take advantage of them. I know that's where Memphis did a lot of their damage in their comeback. I mean, SMU was up 12 at the half against Memphis. Memphis rallied back in there, but I think the way that they do their damage is obviously through their backcourt and their front court. I mean, if they can play average, SMU is going to be another pretty dangerous team coming from the American. Obviously, they get no love. The metrics love them, but they don't get love from social media or any of the college basketball analysts out there. But I mean, they're surprisingly a dangerous team. So definitely a team to watch out for in the American.
All right. Anything else? Oh, we forgot to talk about the other team in that conference that gets a lot of hype. We got to talk FAU. Owls tonight host Wichita State, and they defeated them 86-77. Elijah Martin had a big game. I mean, FAU just has so many scoring options. We've talked ad nauseum about this FAU team all year because they are one of the biggest storylines in college hoops. And how crazy is that coming from Boca Raton?
Yeah, I mean, it's still nuts. And, you know, we talked a lot about Memphis's issues tonight. FAU hasn't exactly been fantastic over the last couple weeks either. They obviously took those 2 road losses to FGCU and Charlotte, but arguably should have lost at Tulane. We're trailing by pretty significantly tonight at home against Wichita State, and Wichita State team that's probably just okay. They probably should stop messing around too, because their metrics might start dropping, and who knows what that happens for their at large.
Yeah. Just they got this win today. Their metrics are a little bit down from what they were before the game. They got to take care of business against UTSA and Rice. That sets up a big game next Sunday when they take on North Texas. I'm excited for that game, and I'm excited for just what we're going to see from the American going forward, because I still think it's going to be a 2-bid league, but who those 2 teams are, we might not know until the end of the season.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I still think it's Memphis's and FAU's conference. I'm not going to overreact to tonight's performance or recent performances from both schools. I just think that put yourself in the shoes of, Wichita State, Tulsa, and East Carolina. Shout out Will on Twitter, but I mean, he's right that, these teams are showing up for their Super Bowls. So, and I mean, hold on, sorry about that.
Yeah, by the way, Pepperdine and Gonzaga tied at halftime.
Moses Wood just hit a 3 with 1 second to go to likely win the game for Washington.
Sorry about that. My roommate was trolling me, but where was I? Yeah, I mean, these teams, I hate to say it, but Memphis and FAU are their Super Bowls, and they're going to show up. And like I said, I mean, it's easy to get off the couch for these games, and for Florida Atlantic and Memphis, you don't really stand to benefit anything from playing these teams unless you blow them out. And the metrics, obviously, if you know how they work, they favor teams that blow teams out. So it doesn't really matter the level. It matters in a sense the level of competition that you play, but in the American, you're not going to be playing an elite level of competition at all. So just barely getting by is actually going to hurt your metrics. And Memphis has seen that. FAU has seen that as well. But for both these teams, they just need to keep winning, and they can't afford any slip ups. And the way that they're playing right now, it looks to be that they might slip up some more in the future. So
yeah. Anything else to add before we let you go?
I think that there's no final decision on Jordan Brown joining the roster. Again, it's up to the players, but I think it would be a horrible decision to add Jordan Brown to that locker room, especially with Penny's comments in the post-game presser. And I think that you would be just asking for trouble in doing that. But
can't we just say he's still sick?
Yeah, that was actually a crazy excuse. It was actually crazy that Penny kept referring to Brown as having a sickness, as not being with the team. But that's an entirely complex situation. I don't think I have the time to get into that tonight, but
oh no, you don't have time to get into that tonight.
Yeah.
We'll do like off-season chronicles, and we'll just talk about everything.
Yeah, no, that'd be awesome.
You'll come on here and just tell me everything that went wrong with this Memphis season, and it'll be so funny if everything that went wrong and they still like went to the Sweet 16 or something like that, which is still totally possible.
Yeah, they have a high ceiling, but it would be funny if that did end up happening. But I don't know whether what's going on in Memphis is crazy, because I can't compare it to any other college program. I'm not in any other college program like I am at Memphis. I DM Trilly all the time, and he's like, just another day in Memphis. So It's another day. It's another night in Memphis. More drama, more storylines, and that's just the way that I like it. So
all right, thank you so much for coming on tonight. We'll let you go.
I appreciate it, man. I'll see you guys.
And now it's time to talk Big Ten.
Okay.
I put it off because it's the worst conference in the country. Nobody cares, and nobody cares about it.
But by the way, like, just from that segment with Hitman, like, it reminded me of something, and that's with Memphis. Like, expect the unexpected. Like, it's a roller coaster. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be funny sometimes. Like, you truly do not know what to expect with the Memphis Tigers basketball program.
Memphis they're one of a kind.
I wouldn't even call it a train wreck most of the time. It's
not a train wreck because they're good. They usually win.
It's just a roller coaster sometimes. Like, they just keep you on your toes.
Minnesota did not have Elijah Hawk. Actually, we'll just get right into Michigan. Henry Eisenberg is here.
Hello.
And the Wolverines tonight fell at the hands of Illinois, 88-73. What was your main takeaway, Henry?
It's so tough, Sam.
Are you in the bathroom?
Yes, I am in a bathroom. The room is occupied right now, and had to find a quiet space so I could come on with you guys and share.
Dedication. That's dedication.
That's awesome. We love that.
Just had to share the despair that I feel and everybody in Ann Arbor feels, because the football season is over, and that means all of the eyes were turned, at least for a little, towards this basketball team. And the teams had a lot of opportunities to just put one win, just get like one streak together where it's like maybe they're turning the program around. And that could have been tonight against Illinois after a solid home win against Ohio State, who's been towards the top of the Big Ten this year. And they fell flat in the second half. And it was really that, as Sam, I know you like to call the kill shot. It was that just, it was really a kill shot tonight. I think it was I forget exactly what time, but it was around, I think, 10 minutes to go in the game. Illinois just rattled off an 11-0 run, and that was that. Michigan hung in there, didn't let it become a complete blowout, but just couldn't claw their way back like they had been doing all game previously. And that was just 1 minute of play. That was the game.
Yep. And from an Illinois perspective, just the emergence of Ty Rodgers tonight, he scored 15 points. He scored 15 points as well against Michigan State. When he scores in double figures, this is going to be a John Rothstein stat. When Ty Rodgers scores in double figures, Illinois is 5-0.
Yeah, you want to hear another Ty Rodgers stat?
Yes.
From tonight? Well, Ty Rodgers had the same amount of rebounds as the highest rebounder on Michigan tonight.
Yeah. Illinois out-rebounds Michigan 39-29, 13 offensive boards. Just is Michigan soft?
I'm not going to go around throwing things around like that, but they do. You know what? I'm going to throw a positive out here. Not going to call Michigan soft. They only turned the ball over 9 times tonight. And to not hit double-digit turnovers, it felt like a sloppier game than it looks in the stats, but I think that's credit to Illinois out-rebounding them handedly. And I think that, yeah, you could say that they're getting just outplayed. And I think it starts down the boards, who can control the boards. And they clearly did not have control.
I just think from watching this game, I think Michigan just kind of got pumped. Like, Illinois is just better they're better physically, they're better mentally, they're more skilled, they're better coached, they're just better in every way, and they showed that tonight. They didn't need to hit the threes, and they only turned it over 6 times. I mean,
yeah,
that just doesn't like that. That's just you're not going to win games when you only turn guys over 6 times. I just think Michigan has a lot of issues in terms of just, I don't think they have the bodies that we might have thought they did. Like, they're just not as physical as maybe they should be.
Yeah, Jonathan, were you about to rattle off a points per possession stat? Because
1.354 for Illinois tonight. That's just absurd.
There you go. I mean, that's what it's. I just like. I feel like the defense got to be more inspired, because at some point it's not like you're a very like they're a high level team. It's not like this team can't compete, and they have competed against teams. Just giving up 88 points and what was that 1.35?
1.354, and it was like It was like 1.41 in the second half.
Yeah. So I mean, when you're giving up almost a layup a possession, it's got to be. It's not just about getting. It's not just about talent. It's about caring, and I mean, they're just getting outplayed.
Yeah, and there's not much that Michigan can do, but I do want to talk about Illinois, because this is a really damn good Illinois team. Coleman Hawkins has evolved. He's a much better player than he was last year. Jonathan, would you like to apologize?
I won't apologize, but Jeremy Werner, who is the Illinois writer I follow on Twitter, he did say that Coleman Hawkins had his best game of his career tonight. 21 points, 10 boards on the road in a Big Ten game. And, like, they got 16 and 14 out of Quincy Guerrier. Like, they were just all over the glass tonight, those two. And just, like, I'm starting to question how checked in Michigan is. Like, I don't want to call them checked out yet, because they just got a win on, I believe, Monday against Ohio State.
Again, it's easy to get up off the couch for Ohio State when you're Michigan.
True. I want to give credit to this Illinois team, too, without bashing Michigan too much, because, like, they didn't expect to lose Terrence Shannon at the point in the season when they did. They didn't really expect them to lose. They didn't expect to lose him at all, but they continue to battle. They continue to play team basketball without their star. and guys just continuously step up, and you really don't know who it's going to be on a given night.
Yeah, I think both things are true, Jonathan, where you should be bashing Michigan after this, but also credit to Illinois. I mean, Maryland came in on MLK Day and just completely outplayed them. Maryland was a better team in a matinee game in Champaign, and that's very tough to do. So for them to travel to Ann Arbor on a Thursday night and put together this performance, I mean, you have to get up for every game, especially in the Big Ten, and getting these road games is huge, especially after not defending your home court. So impressive stuff out of Illinois. I mean, you could say all of the opposite for Michigan. Have the ability to knock off a top. What was Illinois ranked this week?
They were 14th.
Yeah, so knock off a top 15 team, put together a nice 2-game win streak heading into a game at Purdue, which, I mean, not excited for that one, but just to put a little something together and just get completely out-rebounded, just outplayed in general. It's tough to see right now, and, I mean, you keep saying changes need to happen, but keep being shown otherwise. So,
I think it's fair to question at this point how interested they even are to make changes.
that would be a great thing to question, Jonathan.
And one of the more notable things for me with this game tonight for Illinois, on the Illinois side, is Brad Underwood really seems to be tightening his rotation. Obviously, Terrence Shannon not being there was
Dane
tightening the
Danger
rotation
played
regardless.
15% of the minutes in conference play.
He seems to have figured out the guys he wants on the floor, the system he wants to play. Dane Danger, it just doesn't seem like he's a very good fit on this team. They want to be really athletic and they want to be really active defensively, and Danger and ball screens just isn't going to do that for you. So you got 20 minutes off the bench from Justin Harmon, who's been good lately, and then you got your 5 starters, all of whom played 32 plus minutes. 29 plus minutes.
I think that those 6, they're gonna have to hold up, because the thing about playing a 6-man rotation for 2 months in the Big Ten, and then for another month, what they're hoping is another half of a month after that into the Final Four. That's really tough, because the Big Ten is a super physical league. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's gonna hold up.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. Illinois is going to be an interesting team to follow in these upcoming weeks, just to see their consistency, because I just really don't know how to feel about that Maryland loss. It's stuck with me, because maybe it was just an off day, but getting outplayed at home like that, and I know Maryland started to play better, but Maryland's been struggling too. So I don't know. I mean, they looked good tonight, and it's good to see that Underwood's really found his rotation, just playing 6 deep. But that Maryland loss has stuck with me. I think that said more about them than today.
I think there's two parts of it, at least from what I took away. Maryland has had Illinois' numbers over the years, dating back to the Mark Turgeon days, in the mid 2010s. But also, I think it kind of proved that, without Terrence Shannon, Illinois is going to have nights where just, they don't have their go-to guy. And that could be a problem if it happens at the wrong time.
Yeah, and I mean, you're going to have to hope that doesn't happen 6 straight times. So,
Sam, anything else on?
Just next game for Illinois is Rutgers at home, then Northwestern away. They really don't have any of the big challenges. They don't have Michigan State until February 10th. They don't play Purdue again until March 5th. They don't play Wisconsin at all until March 2nd. So their schedule is pretty light going forward, and I expect them to drop a couple of these games because it's the Big Ten and everyone sucks. But
all the optimism, Sam.
I think Illinois is going to have a lot to say about who wins this conference, because I know Purdue's probably going to win it, but I do think Illinois will have a lot to say about that. All right, Henry, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. Hope the next time I'm on things are better, but that's only a hope.
Michigan now 2-5 in the Big Ten, 7-11 overall. 7-11.
Usually you could fall back on non-conference after these rough starts, but that's not the case.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me on.
For sure.
And anything else to add tonight? Well, there's still a bunch of games going on. It's a big night slate tonight. It's
usually what you get on Thursday with Pac-12 and WCC playing their games.
And the Big West. Don't forget the Big West.
I also will add that since we're on the Big Ten, there were some Max's better chants from Michigan State fans tonight with Minnesota and Cam Christie in the building.
Yes, and Cam Christie, who is averaging more points, rebounds, and assists than Max Christie did that year.
He's having a tremendous year.
He also fouled out in 16 minutes tonight.
Yeah, there was that.
UC Irvine and UC San Diego right now, 2 5-0 teams in the Big West going at it. It's 52-49 at the under 12. I will be watching that game when we get off the air. Oregon is
San
up.
Diego's 5-0.
Yes.
I had no idea.
Colorado leads by 10 on Oregon right now. 4 minutes to play in the first half. Long Beach State is killing Hawaii. Cal State Bakersfield looking to get that first conference win. They're up 50-37 on UC Riverside. Santa Barbara is absolutely annihilating a 4-1, 13-4 Cal State Northridge team. Gonzaga now leads it by 9. Santa Clara by 14 over Pacific. San Francisco over Loyola Marymount 11-6 right now, and San Diego Portland was postponed. Jonathan, anything else?
No, I think we're good for the night. We got just under.
Oh, we didn't talk WAC. We didn't talk about the WAC. Stephen F. Austin is now 5-2. They got 6 players in double figures tonight. 89-84 win against Seattle U. Stephen F. Austin, that's a really good team in that conference. They're probably number 2 behind Grand Canyon.
Yeah, I think I agree there.
Troy picked up their first loss in Sunbelt play. South Alabama won that game. In the Summit League, South Dakota, North Dakota, South Dakota State, and Denver were winners.
How many did what's his name have tonight for Denver?
Bruner?
Yeah.
He only had 15.
Oh, okay. It's because I'm interested in him only for the reason that him and Xavier Johnson are like the top 2 scorers in the country. So,
yeah, I'm excited for tomorrow night's show. I did announce the guest. It's Jim Reed tomorrow. I'm excited to have him on. I'm excited to have Rocco Miller on Sunday night. So tomorrow night's show will be about 9:45. Before that, though, at 6:30, I will be joined by John Gallagher, and we will talk Manhattan and the rest of the MAC.
Happy 37 minutes until MAC Friday.
Yes, 37 minutes until MAC Friday. You cannot wait to see all the MAC updates on your timeline.
Oh, dude, it's going to be electric.
Electricity. My one issue is that my computer isn't streaming right. Like, I have 2 computers. My Mac does work, but my Windows PC, the one that I use to stream this,
yeah,
the stream feature, like on any I go to YouTube TV, I go to ESPN Plus, none of that's working. Like, I can't watch anything on it, and that's a problem because
that's very bizarre.
Because I need to put like 3 or 4 games on that thing tomorrow.
Yeah, that's very bizarre.
Because Roku doesn't have multi-view. You know what I need to do? I need to get an Apple TV for here, just for multi-view,
just for MAC Fridays,
just for ESPN and Sundays.
And Sundays, yeah.
Just for the ESPN Plus multi-view.
What game should I be going to watch right now?
I told you, UC San Diego and UC Irvine.
All right.
All right, I will be turning that on. And that's it. That's all we got for you tonight. Jonathan, you want to take us home?
Yeah, thanks as always to our fellow Johnny Furphy followers, our fellow Zvonimir Ivasic followers, our fellow Caleb Grill followers. Am I missing anyone?
Hold on. Give me a sec.
I only did that to make you scramble to update all the counters. But thanks for tuning in tonight. Thanks to our guest, Henry Eisenberg, Harrison Simeon, and Hitman Hoops for joining us to discuss their teams. We'll be back tomorrow night with Jim Root to discuss some more college hoops and
we will preview the big Saturday slate.
Yeah, and to potentially discuss some more coaches' sons and where they work now. This is Brackets, Bubbles, and Bit Stealers. We'll see you tomorrow night.